तो वो करना हिंदी वाला इंग्लिश आनी चाहिए। कृष्णम च तत्प्रभाज्ञान नीचे करो।
कृष्णम च तत्प्रभावज्ञान साथ में पढ़ लेते
पूज्यमायो माययोया प्रतिविग्रहम्। Lord Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, yet he manifests his transcendental form by his eternal potency. This very Lord was sitting before Bhismadev, and since Bhismadev knew of his glory, he worshipped him on duly. Purport: the Lord's omnipotency is displayed by his simultaneous presence in every place. He is present always in his eternal abode Golak Vrindavan, and still he is manifest. He is present in everyone's heart and even within every invisible atom. When he manifests his eternal transcendental form in the material world, he does not. He does so by his internal potency. The external potency or the material energy has nothing to do with his eternal form. All these truths were known to Sri Bhismadev, who worship him accordingly.
पुत्रानुपासेना Translation: The sons of Maharaj Pandu were sitting silently nearby, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishmadev congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. Purport: When Maharaj Pandu died, his sons were all small children, and naturally they were brought up under the affection of elderly members of the royal family, specifically by Bhishmadev. Later on, when the Pandavas were grown up, they were cheated by cunning Duryodhan and company. And Bhishmadev, although he knew that the Pandavas were innocent and were unnecessarily put into trouble, could not take the side of the Pandavas for political reasons. At the last stage of his life, when Bhishmadev saw his most exalted grandsons, headed by Maharaj Yudhishthir, sitting very gently at his side, the great warrior grandfather could not check his loving tears, which were automatically flowing from his eyes. He remembered the great tribulations suffered by his most pious grandsons. Certainly, he was the most satisfied man because of Yudhishthir's being enthroned in the place of Duryodhan, and thus he began to congratulate them.
Bhishmadev said, "Oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls had to suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations. Yet you were protected by the Brahmanas, God, and religion." Purport: Maharaj Yudhishthira was disturbed due to the great massacre in the battle of Kurukshetra. Bhishmadev could understand this, and therefore he spoke first of the terrible suffering of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was put into difficulty by injustice only, and the battle of Kurukshetra was fought just to counteract this injustice. Therefore, he should not regret the great massacre. He wanted to point out particularly that they were always protected by the Brahmanas, the Lord, and religious principles. As long as they were protected by these three important items, there was no cause of disappointment. Thus, Bhishmadev encouraged Maharaj Yudhishthir to dissipate his despondency. As long as person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency. However, trying to circumstances of life, Bhishmadev, as one of the authorities in the line, wanted to impress this point upon the Pandavas.
As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Purport. The suffering of Kunti Devi are doubly lamented. She suffered greatly because of early widowhood and to get her minor children brought up in the royal family. And when her children were grown up, she continued to suffer because of her son's actions. So her suffering continued. This means that she was destined to suffer by providence, and this one has to tolerate without being disturbed.
सपालो यद्वशे लोको वायोरिव घनावली. In my opinion, this is all due to inevitable time, under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. Purport. There is control by time all over the space within the universe, as there is control by time all over the planets. All the big gigantic planets, including the sun, are being controlled by the force of air. As the clouds are carried by the force of air, similarly, the inevitable Kal or time controls even the actions of the air and other elements. Everything, therefore, is controlled by the Supreme Kal, a forceful representative of the Lord within the material world. Thus, Yudhishthir should not be sorry for the inconceivable action of time. Everyone has to bear the actions and reactions of time as long as one is within the conditions of the material world. Yudhishthir should not think that he had committed sins in his previous birth and is suffering the consequence. Even the most pious man has to suffer the condition of material nature. But a pious man is faithful to the Lord, for he is guided by the bona fide Brahmana and Vaishnava, following the religious principles. These three guiding principles should be the aim of life. One should not be disturbed by the tricks of eternal time. Even the great controller of that time, great controller of the universe, Brahmaji, is also under the control of that time. Therefore, one should not grudge being controlled by time, despite being a true follower of religious principles.
धर्मसुतो राजा गदापाणिवृकोदरः कृष्णोऽस्त्रीगाण्डिवं चापं सुहृत्कृष्णस्तो विपत्. Translation. Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion? Bhima, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. But as far as the material or spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in the case of the Pandavas. Materially, they were well equipped because two great warriors, namely Bhima and Arjuna, were there. Spiritually, the king himself was the symbol of religion. And above all, the personality of Godhead Lord Sri Krishna was personally concerned with their affairs as the well-wisher. And yet, there were so many reverses on the side of the Pandavas. Despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, the power of expert management, and the power of weapons under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses, which can only be explained as due to the influence of Kala, inevitable time. Kal is identical with the Lord himself, and therefore the influence of Kal indicates the inexplicable wish of the Lord himself. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being.
You chant prayers? I'll chant for myself. Om Kyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vicharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarini Vanchakalpatarubhishya Kripa Sindhubhevcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So this is a very beautiful section of Srimad Bhagavatam where Lord Krishna personally wants to give do glorification of Vishnudev. So much so that he does not allow Yudhishthira Maharaj to get convinced by his own lecture to him, whatever, his discourse in trying to convince him to be the ruler. He was feeling despondent that actually because of me, so many crores of people have been killed to put me on the throne. Life of a king is actually a service to all the people. But rather than serving people, I have killed so many people. So his heart was actually very pure. The mood of servant was deep. And thus he was feeling pain that so many people are killed. Actually, he was not the cause of the problem. The problem was Duryodhan and party. So anyway, Lord Krishna spoke something, but as the Paramatma in the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj, he did not let him get convinced with what he said. But when Bhishma Dev says, after that he becomes convinced. So Lord Krishna has to decide who will convince whom, So, we should also not become, we should know if Krishna himself takes such a detached role, we should also have some level of detachment. We can be prayerful. Recently, when his Ramchand Prabhu was giving one Bhagavatam class, he was telling that Radha Gopinath Prabhu told in one talk with him that apart from preaching to those who we are preaching to, we should be praying for them to become convinced of the message that we are trying to deliver. So we are not actually the real person who transfers the message. We communicate the message and then Paramatma has to inspire them to receive the message. So Paramatma makes us first speak and then Paramatma makes them receive and get convinced about the message. Otherwise, what can we do? Yesterday I was talking to some of the IIT boys I'm preaching to. So whoever I talked to, they were very favorable. Although I have not talked to them for the last 10 days or something, And they said, yes, we are chanting. I told one boy that, can you come for chanting online? He said, yes. What time? 6 o'clock in the morning. I said, okay, 6 o'clock in the morning. Today morning I SMSed him that, can you come for chanting? And then I joined Zoom. And he was already sitting, I said, that Pavan. Oh, yeah. So, and, it's like that. And you're the Darshan Prabhu, what you were talking? Yesterday, I told that, okay, can we chant round and all that? He said, Prabhu, what about the session? You should take my last session is remaining. So, I can only say that Krishna is kindly showering very nice Vaishnavas upon this fallen soul to take care. So, we should have detachment and sincere sense of responsibility when we are trying to share the message with others. Not only that, how Krishna is so concerned to fulfill the heart's desires of his devotee, Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama had always great love for the Pandavas because they were the righteous children and they always were tortured by the other party. But he always knew that Yudhishthira Maharaj should actually be the king. But somehow by the circumstances he was always tortured. So now he has brought the Pandavas to Bhishma Pitama. And he tells, Krishna Bhagavan tells Pandavas to be dressed in a very royal way. Because he wants to give the best joy to Bhishma Pitama. Now, Imagine they come in ordinary dress. We are going to a place where everyone is dead in the battlefield, and Bhishma Pitama is also lying on a bed of arrows. How can we dress royally? If you dress royally and then you go to a place where person is lying in the hospital, when you go to the hospital in a very royal dress, people will think you're crazy or something. But he has particularly told that because that is how it will fulfill the desire of Bhishma Pitama. And Lord Krishna is very concerned that I personally want to be there for Bhishma Pitama when he leaves the planet. Everything what Bhishma Pitama did throughout his life, so many difficult circumstances, but through it all, his only goal was to please Lord Krishna, which was kind of not very explicit for the world. In fact, to so much degree that he fought on the side of Kauravas, which looks like, how can he fight on the side of Kauravas? But that was also with the desire to please Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna knows the inner heart of every devotee. And Lord is always wanting to reciprocate with his dear devotees who have given their life, whole soul to try to serve his desires. So much so that Bhishma Pitama is ready to take for all time to come the role of person who played the role against the Pandavas or the righteous people, just because that is the role that Lord Krishna wants to have for him, to say that even a big warrior like Bhishma cannot win when he is against the dharmic side. So Lord Krishna can use such devotees at his will, He can make them instrument. And he wants to fulfill the desire of Bhishma. He wants to see that I am there by his side when he leaves the planet. So then the next verse, in the 11th verse, it comes that Bhishma Pitama is crying tears, seeing the devotees, seeing Yudhishthira Maharaj, the Pandavas. So that is also so amazing. If you see very grossly, Arjun has put him on the bed of arrows. Now imagine him among devotees, someone slaps you also, not put you on a bed of arrows. And when you see him, will we feel compassion? Well, this is the fellow who slapped me. He may be devotee, but right? But Bhishma Pitama forget about talking about anything to do with what he did on him, the bed of arrows and all. And that also he put Shikandi in front and all that. So Chalbazi, So can you imagine that same person, because they both are actually wanting to serve Krishna. So spiritual relationships are very deep. They are not based on that, what did you do to me? Dekh lenge. He's crying tears of affection and feeling for the pain of theirs. Can you imagine? Their pain. He is in pain or they are in pain? Tell me. He is in pain. He is there sitting in royal dresses right now. But what is he saying? Aho kashtam, aho nyaya, कितना अन्याय हुआ तुम लोगों के साथ. अरे किसके कौन बैठा हुआ है बेड ऑफ एरर्स में? And he is saying, he's feeling for the pain of others. Vaishnavism is so sweet. Actually, after seeing such disposition, only people should surrender to Vaishnavism. I don't know why people are not, It requires great amount of cover up of the intelligence. Can you imagine such a life? That the people who put him on the bed of arrows, he's feeling for their, kashta and crying tears of affection, and feeling great joy that they have been put on throne while he's on the bed of arrows. So amazing, actually. Vaishnava relationships are full of very deep level of sweetness. Arjun, his heart was like palpitating with the desire to some way serve, Bhishma Pitama. They can give up their lives for Bhishma Pitama, and he had to put Bhishma Pitama on the bed of arrows. What is this life? Vaishnavism, in missionary life, sometimes things go so difficult sometimes. Anyway, so these are some of the important, but they're not the main theme that I want to take. Going from 12th verse onwards comes a very important theme where how one should take sufferings, how one should take reversals in life, which is very important for us to take. So I would like to just take a little bit of the reference also. Ahu kashtam aho nyayam jadyuyam dharma nandana jivitum narhata klishtam vipra dharma achyutashraya. So in this very important word comes is vipra dharma achyuta ashraya. So in our lives, Prabhupada says there, is that? He wanted to point out particularly that they were always protected by Brahmanas, the Lord, and religious principles. As long as they were protected by these three important items, there was no cause of disappointment. Later he says, as long as person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstances of life. So, when we are dealing with our situations of life, sometimes, like, let's say, some boys say, "Oh, Prabhuji, after COVID, everyone cheats online exam, chat GPT, cut, you know. So everyone is cheating. Why should I not cheat? No, because Vipra Dharma Chutashraya, you know. No? Oh, everyone is cheating, then everyone is going to hell. So you also want to cut a ticket. Arey Prabhu, everyone is going. Why I should not go? No, see, everyone has boarded the train now. Prabhu, I think it's very important that we should board the same train. No, because popularity, you know. No? Initially, it looks like he's getting the money, shortcut money. In training placement, many of the boys, even devotee boys, they resort to wrong means. Like सब cheating करते हैं, and then हम cheating नहीं करेंगे तो हम पीछे रह जाएंगे, उनका सबका नौकरी लग गया. But one should know, they are not some. Actually, devotee should not behave like small kids. अरे वो कर रहा है तो मैं भी करता हूँ ना क्या है छोटा बच्चों की बातें कर रहे हैं. One should be in a resolve with Krishna, what Krishna wants, what Guru wants, and one should live with them. One should not live with these nonsense fellows, you know. So one should not get into an idea of breaking the norms that the masters have given us just for a short-term gain. No? So Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashraya. However trying the circumstance may be, so many situations will come, temptations and tribulations, right? Temptations make us feel, just do it, yaar, maza kar hai na, bol yaar. Temptations can come, like I was telling about cheating, or someone, imagine a girl comes and proposes to you, I love you, you can have sex with me. Today there is a consensual sex. You know what is consensual sex? That man and woman both are ready for sex, so there's no problem even if you don't marry. After all, they are doing it with their consent with each other. So both are going to hell, and consensually they are together going to hell. No, so no problem. Yeah. Nonsense actually. So simply because there are ready temptations which look like there is no one going to give a reaction to it, externally. Like imagine someone is touching a woman, without her consent, then there will be a slap from the other side, right? But here the Mataji is only coming and telling like that. So one may think, oh, okay, chalta hai. Nahi chalta hai, no? A man is the Purusha who has to tell the woman's her duty also. That means one has to be of inner resolve with Dharma, Vipra, Achyuta, Ashraya. And one should know, if I'm living by Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta, Ashraya, that means I'm always taking blessings of superior Vaishnavas. I'm always trying to study the Shastras to apply it in my own life. Achyuta Ashraya means taking our sadhana very seriously. If we are doing all of this, after that we don't have to think, ऐसा क्यों हो गया फिर मेरे जीवन में? Sometimes situations may come up which are looking like reversal. And those who live by the philosophy of understanding by consequence only, they may sometimes falter in understanding the will of the Lord. Like imagine, because the Pandavas are suffering despite following Dharma, that means this what they did was wrong. No, sir. You getting? Despite doing everything right, as per Vipra Dharma Achyuta, if we still face some difficulties in life, then what should we think? Should we think, oh, I did wrong? Because otherwise, why are these kleshas coming? No, that is what Bhishma Pitama is stressing here. That do not worry about the external situation that you are in. You may be a big soup. You may be, you may be in, calamity in life. But the calamity, if you have lived by Dharma Viprachyuta Ashraya, and then you landed in calamity, all glories to you. And while living in the calamity, if you live by Dharma Viprachyuta Achyuta, then all glories to you. So neither, we should lament over a trouble that we get into because we did something according to Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashraya, nor we should try to escape that suffering by breaking what Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashraya. It's a very, very important principle. If you can live by that, you know that you will be Vyavasatmika Buddhi. You will be always concerned about this only. What my master would like me to do in this situation. Bas. Like imagine, as small as, should I eat one more chapati or should I leave? No? No? लग रहा है थोड़ा सा एक और हो जाए. But I think stomach is saying, I am already crying, sir. Okay, Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashraya, like is one of Bhakti Rasa Maharaj says, if you are thinking that whether to take one more chapati or not, don't take it. And if you are thinking whether to go for bathroom or not, go for it. We should not stop the earth thinking, baad mein kar lega, So some urges should be curtailed and some urges should be given vent to, If the mind is saying that let me go and propose to the girl, don't do it, If the mind is, see, the urges are very important to control, right? But some urges are not supposed to be controlled, like clearing, Clearing urge nahi clear kiya to fir piles ho jata hai, So we should know, we should develop the right urges, and we should, like if you have urge to chant more on, very nice urge, So coming, what did I say just before this, Prabhu?
Not lament, either we will break the norms.
Yeah, no, after that. Temptations and tribulations. So one is temptation and another is tribulation. When there is difficulty also, then one is actually tested. Like Prabhupada says in one place that the greatness of a person can be estimated by his ability to tolerate provoking situation. So provoke, someone shouts at you, misunderstand you, and then you say, "Kya samjha? Main bhi kuch hoon," So one should know what to do in every situation as per Dharma Viprachyuta. Like today, people are talking Hindu-Muslim so much, So what is my dharma in that situation, one should know. Not like simply because they are agitating us, so let us also pick up talwar. I am not saying that one should not pick up the talwar, but one should know what is your dharma. पता चला तलवार उठाया और 2 मिनट में कट के बाहर आ गया, तलवार उठाने का 2 ही मिनट का ड्यूरेशन रहा है, उसके बाद कट के बाहर आ गया, क्योंकि शक्ति तो थी नहीं, वहां पे गया आग की और कट के बाहर आ गया, फिर ओपिनियन आपका वहीं पे रह गया, So one should have a very great clarity about one's own dharma. And how one should know one's dharma? Based on Vipra, Achyuta, and dharma refers to here Shastra. So one is and in Shastra also there are various dharmas. So which dharma is most important to us? Vaishnav dharma. There can be Varnashram dharma and Vaishnav dharma. And in that, like there are Artha Shastras, Dharma Shastras, and Bhakti Shastras. So Artha Shastras and Dharma Shastras are not as important as Bhakti Shastras. So based on Bhakti principle, what one should do? Like Prithu versus Indra. So Prithu versus Indra, of course there Brahmaji himself comes and tells something to be done. But imagine if you go by some logic and nyaya, that I did not do anything wrong. This fellow did wrong. He should be punished. Why am I being stopped from doing the 100th yajna? So if they don't apply Bhakti Shastra, then they may go to a lower stand. But Prithu was very fixed in Bhakti Shastra. Immediately he accepted the plan given by Brahmaji. So one should know within the Dharmic Shastras also one should be seeing Bhakti Shastras as the highest. Like someone may say मातृ देवो भव पितृ देवो भव, अरे माता पिता को नाराज नहीं करना चाहिए, इसलिए वो बोल रहे हैं शादी कर ले, ब्रह्मचारी मत बन, तो ठीक है. अरे वो no, but मातृदेवो पितृदेवो भव, but Dev is saying that Devarshi Bhutaptani Ram Pitrina. The Supreme Lord is telling something else also. So don't take out of the context the verses of the Shastras. And one should not disregard the Shastric thing also. Like at least we should have respect for our mother, father. We may not follow them when they are talking which is below Bhakti Shastra, but we should not disrespect also. That much we should follow also Matridevo, Pitridevo. So like that one should have clear idea of Dharma Viprachyuta Ashraya, how one should lead. Then one will be properly situated. So when we are doing that, after that we don't have to lament. Many times devotees in ISKCON movement, when they see that some devotee followed some plan of a superior and Shastra and all, and then they are facing difficulties in life, then they come back to his superior and say, you have spoiled his life and all that. But actually one should know that difficulties can come in life. One should not just consider that difficulty has come, that means the action was wrong. Right? That basic idea has come from a wrong idea, a wrong philosophical basis. Why if we have done everything right, but this is basic law of karma, you have heard it many times. But why do we face difficulty despite doing right thing? Why do bad things happen to good people?
Past time you have done something bad.
So उतना लॉजिक उस समय नहीं याद आता भक्तों को. उस समय वो सुपीरियर को ब्लेम करते हैं, आपने मेरा जिंदगी खराब कर दिया. अच्छा, आपकी जिंदगी कब से चल रही है सर? आपने अपनी जिंदगी में बहुत कुछ खराब भी किया होगा. Actually, Jayadeva Swami Maharaj says, good people do not come to this matter world. Simple answer. You are here means you are a criminal. You did something wrong and you are suffering. Why are you blaming someone else for that? Actually, one gets exploited by one's own past wrong actions. One cannot be exploited by another person. So, yeah. So one should never, of course, here Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas, they are not suffering because of past karma. Prabhupada writes that also. You read that, na, today? Prabhupada is writing that don't take that it is coming out because of past karma. So the great souls or pure devotees of the Lord, they do not suffer because of past karma. But they are put in suffering because even in that suffering also they do glorious devotional service. And after that, at least the normal sadhaka should say that despite no bad karma, they suffered so much, still they are doing devotional service. What should I do, rascal? I should also do devotional service. So they set the example of a righteous devotee who will never give up the lotus feet of the Lord in all circumstances, in any circumstances. That example we should emulate rather than taking वो भी सफर कर रहे हैं, मतलब शायद प्रभुपाद को हार्ट अटैक आया तो थोड़ा कर्मिक बैलेंस होगा उनका भी. But the devotee in his own consciousness takes it as that. Tatyanukampam susamikshimano bhunjano eva atmakritam vipakam. Atmakritam, my own past misdeed is causing me this. So pure devotee is actually not having any atmakritam vipakam, but he is seeing that way because of his pure consciousness. And a sadhaka should know that it is coming because of atmakritam vipakam, and one should be grateful for whatever it is coming. Let me render service to the Lord. So that type of attitude is very purifying for the jiva, because I am getting a token reaction. It's actually true. We get only a token reaction. One devotee asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why my finger has got cut? I am chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, your head was supposed to be cut. Only finger got. Now there can be another suffering which comes when we don't do our dharma. And that suffering, we should learn the lesson to come toward dharma. Like imagine, you went late to catch the train and you missed the train and you say, nothing to be lamented. No sir, something has to be worked upon, sir. You should go in time. Yeah. So if someone is भगवान की इच्छा होगी मिस कर दो, पता नहीं शायद एक्सीडेंट होने वाला होगा ट्रेन का इसलिए उन्होंने मिस करा दिया है ना. So people may give fully justification to lack of responsible behavior. No. They may say क्या करे भगवान ने शायद खोने को बोल दिया. Like one devotee was asking me that Prabhuji, when we go to the department for studies, so should we lock the cycle or not? मैंने बोला ये कैसा सवाल है? लॉक करना ही चाहिए. नहीं प्रभु कृष्णा is there na. If it has to be stolen, it will be stolen. If it is not to be stolen, I said, my God, you're making him chowkidar for your cycle now. He has to protect your cycle. You have to protect her here. You are his servant or he is your servant. No, if it is the will of the Lord, he will not inspire the thief to come and steal. The lock is there. So, my God, devotees take philosophy to another extreme only. So one should not make Lord as his knocker. One should know that I am here to protect the cycle for the pleasure of the Lord. This is the Lord's property. I have to protect it. Lord has put it under my care, so lock it rather than the thief taking it away. Like what is that? Shameless people steal the property of the careless people. So one fellow is shameless, another is careless. So if we don't do our dharma and then we suffer, then we should learn what is dharma. Not that okay, whatever will of the Lord, cycle chori ho gaya, chalega. Yeah. Or we misutilized our body. We didn't live in regulations. We went late nights regularly, and then our body at 40 is crying. And we are seeing that body parts are falling apart, and then we say शायद कृष्णा का यही मर्जी. अरे आपने 20 साल आपने बर्बाद किया अपने बॉडी को. So we should not abuse the property of the Lord. You have to live under regulations, sleep in time, get up in time. Who is saying that you go late night and preach? So point one should know that dharma has to be executed properly. After that, if something goes off, one should not lament. Okay. So one more thing which Radhashampu was sharing in this connected in this section. It's 8:04 already. Okay. Maybe I should pause. 8:10 we have to end. I'll tell one. He was telling that once you have done your best and then whatever happened, suppose there is a reversal, then one should not brood over it. So he quoted from one Prithu Maharaj, that Prithu Indra section only, where Brahmaji tells that if one laments for what is beyond your control, then one enters the darkest region of existence, consciousness. One should know that actually it is useless to lament over. Then he gave an example. Say Kunj Bihari devotees, मंदिर के बाजू में ही स्टेशन है अरे 2:30 बजे का ट्रेन है 2 बजे निकलने के क्या जरूरत है 2:15 निकलेंगे 2:30 बजे पकड़ लेंगे तो 2:15 निकले लेकिन बाहर गणपति पप्पा मोरिया ढूंढड़का चल रहा है जैम हुआ है अरे भैया गाड़ी तो निकल नहीं सकते बोले चलो भागो भागो और 2:30 you are at the station and the train is you are seeing the back side of the train, Then, Radhashampu saying it's worthy to capture the video of the faces of the devotees, different faces. Now, what all the devotees can do, when they see this incident, now in this moment, what all can be reactions? Okay, my carelessness, I did miss the train. I should what further? Okay, I should have come early. Okay. In this also there can be two reactions, two parts to this whole reaction. One is like, oh, I am so careless. I wasted the property of Krishna. I am useless. Better I don't travel anywhere. Better, So one becomes like just brooding over the past instead of reforming for the future. So the positively oriented devotee can reform for the future. But lamentation wala phir, like Prabhupada writes, lamentation is a sign of ignorance in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So one is simply lamenting, लाइक पीपल समटाइम्स नो एग्जाम देने के बाद सिली मिस्टेक हो गया प्रभु मेरा सिली हो गया वो सिली मिस्टेक में नेक्स्ट एग्जाम भी खराब कर देता है नो so lamenting over the past yeah what else can be a reaction आपने बताया और भी बताएंगे क्या रिएक्शन हो सकता है भाई दैव अरे भगवान ही मिस कराना चाहते थे हमको हाँ बस पकड़ लेंगे so one important thing to note in that is one should think of okay what was my duty to be done eventually suppose now okay train is missed but I have to do the preaching there okay now what is the options available one should spur into action for the second option rather than उसमें बस भी निकल गया बेचारे का है नो फिर उसमें भी रखा अभी तो प्रीचिंग प्रोग्राम भी खराब हो गया अरे प्रीचिंग भी खराब हो गया ट्रेन भी चला गया पैसा भी खराब हो गया सब खराब हो गया मैं बेकार हूँ बिल्कुल ही बेकार you getting ना sometimes people in silly mistake are casualties they brood more and more that is actually darkest region of consciousness okay what else one can do
Krishna, please stop the train.
Krishna वो तो Hare Krishna one time I caught a train competing with the train from one station to the other station the train started from here and I said अभी ये तो मिलने नहीं वाली next station this devotee was on bike driving me and the train was this side and he उधर से train जा रहा है इधर से मैं जा रहा and when the train stopped at the second station and now it was going to move I jumped up I said forget it I am carrying everything so there was a train standing below the train I jumped and it was like a heroic action because it was worth 3,000 rupees the ticket I said baap re बाद में कौन खर्चा करेगा anyway special moments okay yeah one more reaction I'm thinking you will be answering
Next time, whenever.
वो नहीं वो तो हो गया तुमने खराब कर दिया है ना तो मैंने बोला था तुमको 2 बजे निकलने का है ना बोले तो निकल क्यों नहीं गए मैंने रोका था क्या तुम्हारे को 2:15 मैंने नहीं बोला था तुम्हारे को निकले तुम निकलो 2 बजे मेरे को 2:15 निकलना था तुम मेरे को क्यों ब्लेम कर रहे हो जस्ट ब्लेमिंग ईच अदर ओवर द रॉन्ग एक्शन राइट होता है नहीं होता है यार instead of taking responsibility of one's own action to be right one place तुमने मुझे ज्यादा खिला दिया है ना अरे खाना किसको है पेट तुमने भरा है तुमने उसने भरा दिया तुम्हारा ना तुमने इतना ज्यादा डाल दिया कि वो खाना पड़ गया ना क्यों खाना पड़ गया क्योंकि खाने का मन था है ना so one should not blame others for one's own wrong action right so it's very important to live by this principle there are more lessons but I think time is up we'll take another time maybe I'll continue this thing important no actually how we deal with situations of life with sincere intention right action right intention it will drive our life towards the right direction any question maybe one question
This is knowledge we have. But sometimes the emotions are so much like intelligence is saying the things that we have learned in the classes. But the emotions are overpowering our intelligence so much.
so we should not be carried by emotions for that only we have to do our sadhana properly otherwise what to do Prabhu I'm feeling like feeling what feeling nonsense feeling if we are going by feelings today I'm not feeling any taste for chanting go and sleep feelings will never give you right dictation they're conditioned soul our feelings are contaminated we go by the order of Guru and Shastra that is a dharma vipra achyuta ashaya not a mana ashraya so mind will always talk nonsense one place Prabhupada says mind is always making plans to keep you in this matter world so mind is always giving a nice proposal देखो मन नहीं कर रहा है क्या फायदा करने so that is why we need sadhana to fight this mind to be able to see the mind first of all अरे ये माइंड का डिक्टेशन है भगवान का नहीं माइंड भी इधर है परमात्मा भी इधर है ना परमात्मा बोल रहा है माइंड बोल रहा है माइंड विल गिव सम स्पिरिचुअल क्या बोलते हैं एक्सक्यूज विल टेल देखो तुम्हारे से नहीं होगा like someone like my grandmother told when I was joining ashram बेटा तू तो प्रियव्रत है तेरे को तो माया पकड़ेगी नहीं शादी कर ले, यू नो, ये दोनों जो मेरा बेटा है और बहू है, उनका भी मन बहल जाएगा, शादी कर ले, प्रियव्रत है तू तो। अरे प्रियव्रत ने शादी करी ना भगवान के कहने पे,
नारद मुनि और ब्रह्मा जी के
तू तो प्रियव्रत है अभी, तू तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु की कृपा हो गई तेरे ऊपर। मैंने बोला बाप रे, तो सीधा भागवतम से डाल रहे एक्सक्यूज को, है ना। मेरे को ज्वाइन करने के लिए इच्छा है तो वो भागवतम से भी अभी एक्सक्यूज दे रही है माया देवी। So one should know what is Maya, what is Krishna. If we are not attentive, if we are not taking good sangha, if we are not attentive in our sadhana and sangha, then our mind will give Krishna conscious excuses. You know, one will say, you know, I'm doing. One will be more like say suppose one is doing, मन कर रहा है थोड़ा फोटो वोटो खींच लो, अरे थोड़ा प्रार्थना करो, फोटो क्यों खींच रहे हो भगवान का, पहले प्रार्थना करो। नहीं अच्छा लगता है, अच्छा लगता है, no? We will be more busy with entertaining the mind. We don't have to entertain the mind. Mind has to be beaten left and right. प्रभुपाद भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर बोले ना, 100 बार जूते से 100 बार झाड़ू से, तो साथ में रखना चाहिए जूता और झाड़ू। Mind is actually nonsense. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.